Hi everyone and welcome back to Second Rank Fire. I'm your host Ben, and as always Dave is here with me.
Good evening everyone, how's it going?
And we've got another guest. This time we've got Pete, aka Pete Build Stuff over on Instagram. How are you doing, Pete? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, I'm good today. Excited to chat some Warhammer and yeah, all good.
Yeah. I'll kick off straight away by Pete. What's your sort of background and history? Obviously, you've not been on the podcast before, so it'd be good to get a bit of your where did you start off in the hobby, and sort of how did you get to where you are today?
So basically, I did it as a kid. My older brother, started collecting, and I thought that looks really cool. And I remember having we used to take over the dining room table and have battles for the whole day and stuff like that. I remember he had a lot of Ravenwing bikes and stuff like that. I had Catachans and Elder, which I converted up and basically made objective markers from them by cutting off legs and doing a little bit of blood back then. And then the one kit I always remember having was Colonel Schaefer's Last Chances, and I really wish GW would bring them back because they are the best thing ever. And just being able to field that as a whole army was the best thing ever. So yeah, kind of, and then obviously I got to teenage years and didn't think it was very cool and thought, no. I think I ended up selling it all at a car boot or something, which I massively regret now. But and then I think it was September 2019, me and my wife were in Edinburgh for our anniversary, and I saw a Games Workshop store, and I was like, yeah, I used to do that as a kid, and at the time I was kind of suffering from a bit of depression, a bit of anxiety, and I thought that would be a really cool thing to pick up again and kind of, give me a break from real life really, and I could do some building and painting because I enjoyed it as a kid. So I thought, why not pick it up? And yeah, I picked up the 8th edition starter box, which was still hanging around at Bad Moon Cafe. That used to be a 15-minute walk from where I used to live, and yeah, everything snowballed from there really.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've said this before. 8th is where I started playing 40k, and I definitely feel like I've snowballed slightly since the start of them.
Just a little bit.
just a little bit. I've only owned 7 different armies since the start of 8th edition or something silly like that.
Hey, it's
awesome.
Everyone does it. Everyone, starts an army and then goes, oh, actually, I'm not enjoying this army, or I'm not enjoying painting them, or I'm not enjoying playing them, and sells them on and then reinvests that money into a new army. So, I've definitely done it. I imagine Dave's done it.
Oh, 100%. I started in 3rd edition, so yeah, I've had a few armies in my lifetime. I'd say so.
Few. Yeah, at least. Well, thanks for that, Pete. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more around what you're doing in the hobby now a little bit later on as part of the sort of topic of the podcast. But we'll do our sort of standard thing of Dave. It's been 2 weeks. What have you been up to?
Well, I've done quite a bit. Somehow the hobby gods have praised me now, and I've got my hobby mojo back. Not all of it,
Excellent.
But I'm getting bits done. I can say I completed my challenge this week, which was the tester for my Slapchop Blood Angel. Well, 50%, I'll say, because I'm still working on the yellow, which turned orange the way I did it.
Yep.
So I'll literally clean some mold lines as we speak now on 4 heads, just so I can test them again. But I'm calling it a complete. If you haven't seen it yet, I've put a post up on Instagram before and after, which I feel like it's surprisingly worked quite well. I wasn't expecting it to work as effectively as it was. I was a bit concerned with the oranges, where I was going too orange, I think
it looks really good.
Yeah, thank you very much. But I didn't add no white on this one, on the armour. I just kept the light orange on the edges.
Yes.
Like in the
Yeah.
old school ways where you used to do highlighting, you highlight orange back in the day. And it seems to pulled off nicely. So
really
I'm
does.
going to hit the ground running with that, and going to build the other 4, which will be for my potentially 2K Blood Angel list, which I've got in the works, or in theory, as I say. Then that'll be 1 unit for my 2K built and painted. So,
Yep.
on the side, I'm getting my Death Riders done for my tournament, which is now singles now, not doubles anymore, because the doubles got cancelled, unfortunately. So I've literally applied the second coat tonight. So I think I went above and beyond in the hobby a bit this week, or the last 2 weeks, even though it was like at the last home straight before recording. But I'm going to take that.
No, it's a big win. It's a big win,
But,
especially after
no,
sort of the 4 weeks before.
And I think it's quite a nice way. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself now. I'm enjoying just doing other bits. So I'll probably do some Blood Angels, like as I was speaking before recording, with my converted captain, which is from like a Black Templar Sword Brethren, where he's got a 2 sword with a sanguineous body, jetpack, and I can't remember where I got the head from. I think I got the head from the Space Marine upgrade sprue. I can't really remember. And I got I wanted to go old school with this captain. This is like a bonus hobby for me on the side. With the Terminator honor on the pad. So I don't know if you played. Yeah, that's it. Big words. Well done, Ben. Thank you.
I have so many Terminators. I've got like 40 or 50 Terminators in the cupboard. If I didn't know that, then I'd be screwed.
Yeah, I think it's like for me, it's like sort of like yeah, you'll get used to this, don't worry. I think it's sort of like a nod to when I was playing 3rd edition, when I don't know, well, I think you probably wouldn't know, Ben, when you were doing your lists, you have to pay points for Terminator Honours to give your character an extra 1 attack back in the day. I think it was like 15 points. And you need to like put the shoulder pad on with the Terminator Honour logo thing to show that he's got it, for example. Because back in the day, people were like, what you see is what you get. And if he doesn't have it, people were quite anal back in the day. So it's like, wow, he doesn't have that, technically have it. Do one. So it's sort of like a nod to the old school days where he's got the chapter symbol on the left. Is it left? No, yeah, left, then right. So I had to envision my model in front of me then, like flipped it. And yeah, so that's me done for the 2 weeks. I don't want to shame you, Ben, if you haven't done anything. Or
I've done some stuff. I've not done as much as you, but I've done stuff. Cheeky. I've not done as much as that, but to be fair though, it's really nice to see. Like, obviously, the past couple of episodes, you've definitely been struggling with that sort of hobby motivation. So it's been really nice to sort of see you posting on Discord and Instagram a lot more, and having that motivation to really get stuff going. It feels like those Blood Angels have really sort of kicked that passion back into you. So it's been really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it helps with listen to Devastation of Baal while I'm going to work and stuff, where my commute to work's about 40 to 50 minutes. And it's definitely get my juices flowing. Oh yeah, because I did do Blood Angels in 3rd edition back in the day, and it's sort of like rekindling the fun, and I want to see if I can recreate my list in the way of what it was in 3rd edition, because some of the units don't exist anymore. Where you can give like a Sanguinary Priest back in the day 2 Lightning Claws, and back in the day, and he was a tank, absolute tank, reroll hits, wounds, and stuff like that. But you can't do that nowadays. But I've got a cool list which is more focused around characters. So I think it's the Angelic War Host. I think it is, where it's all about around the characters, and they buff the units in with that character. So. Yeah, so watch this space. I've got like a cool, I think, fluffy list, because I want to take 30 Assault Marines just for the funds. Not Death Company. I know Death Company are good, and stuff like that, but I feel like that's the meta at the moment, and I tend to not go with the meta. And if you follow my Instagram, with the amount of horses I do, I'm not gone. I haven't seen another army out there at the moment that's got that amount of horses, and especially in 2K, which I would want to get to a singles for 2K to see how well it does in the meta. I think I'll be quite surprised how well it might do, because people wouldn't know how to deal with it with that amount of bodies on the field. But yeah, that's me.
Nice. I did see a meme the other day about it was one of those like nobody, and there was like Astra Militarum. It was like a meme of like tanks driving full speed driving forward, and horses going to overtake them. I was like, that's Dave.
I think
Dave
Jim
Farmer
sent
right
me that as well. Jim on Discord. He sent me it straight away on Instagram. I was like, he knows me too well. But that's literally my 2K force, because I've got like 5 tanks in my next 1K force, which I've literally got everything. I just need to build one more tank, and I've literally got a 2K force ready to go for me and you, Ben, in June.
Amazing.
So that'd be good times. Deathwing versus Astra Militarum.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to bring to that yet. I was planning on bringing the custom chapter, but that's going a lot slower than I sort of expected. So I have airbrushed some of those this week. Obviously, the plan was, because the armour is such a pain in the backside to do manually or with a brush, I was going to try and airbrush it all. The orange just didn't. The blue worked, because obviously it's just like an ultramarine blue, Macragge blue, whatever you want to call it. I just had an equivalent. I think I got like an Albin Painter air paint equivalent. It's quite nice. Goes to the airbrush quite nicely. It's good colour. It's a good colour match. The moment I tried to do the orange, it was just a car crash. It didn't sit right. It didn't look right. The overspray was really, really difficult to manage. Doing the lighter blue, that was fine, because if there was overspray, it typically looked like just like highlight or something like that, so that wasn't an issue. The moment there was overspray from the orange, it just killed the look, and I was like, cool, okay, so that's going to have to reevaluate that. But I did get 10 intercessors, 6 aggressors, and the lieutenant with combi weapon, all blue. So they're already primed, so I've got the blue colour on them. So I'm just having a bit of a think about a slightly easier way of doing that, or a slightly different way of doing that. If I stay blue, this week I've flaked massively on it. Obviously, I've been carrying on doing my NMM Marine, and I did float to the Discord. What if I just tried to do my entire custom chapter as NMM Gold? And everyone quite rightly shot me down, because that's absolutely insane. It's taken me, I don't know, like 15 hours just to do like the legs and the body. I've not done the arms yet. I've not done the backpack. I've not done the helmet. Oh my god, NMM takes such a long time. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I couldn't paint 2,000 points, and I certainly couldn't paint a tank using NMM Gold.
That would be... I don't even know how you'd approach that.
My mate does it, but he does it on Custodes tanks, which is slightly different, because obviously Primoris, they are big, chunky things.
Yeah.
The panel sizes, I think, would be a nightmare to do that way. Custodes tanks lead quite well to it. The Palladus and things like that lean in quite well because of the curved surfaces and stuff like that, and it breaks it all quite nicely. But I do like how the scheme looks. I do like the gold armour, and so I'm now contemplating whether or not to do a gold-based custom chapter. So scrap the blue and the orange. Maybe keep the... I mean, if I keep the blue, it would arguably be too close to Celestial Lions. With my NMM Marine, I'm thinking about doing red shoulder pads. I'm sure there's a chapter out there that's gold with red shoulder pads, but yeah. So the army theme will still be the same, but it's that paint scheme. So at the minute I'm thinking about having a bit of a play around. I know that I'm pretty sure that Colourforge do like a gold spray as well, which will make my life a lot easier.
I think they do.
Yeah. Alternatively, I was also thinking about looking at the Speed Paints 2.0, the metallics, because I know that they do different golds in there as well, and so it could lean towards more of the sort of speed painting, the sort of slap chop approach that I took before. So that could be an option as well. So I think I'm going to get I've got a few more Assault Intercessors that I can play around with. So probably this Yeah, over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to carry on doing my NMM Marine. I reckon I can get the gold finished over the next 2 weeks. There's not a huge amount left to do, and I'm getting a lot quicker at the panels now. So I think I can get that done, and then I'll probably do one or two other, just get a sort of intercessors and just try and do them in the like a gold scheme, but using a more metallic paint. Or I might try and see if I can get my hands on an army painter speed paint and do the gold that way. So in terms of painting, that's probably my next 2 weeks, is try and focus on those. I've also got a Tech Marine, and I picked up a Nine Jaws War Boss the other day from Cryptic. Went over to Cryptic and picked those two up, so I need to get those built as well. So I'll try and get them built up. I think that's it in terms of the sort of core hobby stuff. In terms of the YouTube stuff, obviously I've sort of alluded to it over the past couple of episodes. This week I was actually been quite productive on that side, so I've started to pull together some ideas for some of the different episodes or different series that I'm going to do. There's one series that I think I'm fairly set on, which Dave knows about. Obviously, I've spoken to Dave about it and used Dave as my sounding board. So yeah, there's one series that I think is going to be good, and I've got the sort of skeleton of it set out for the first episode. So I'm gonna, once I've got a couple of them recorded and I'm comfortable that they're what I hope they'll be, that's when I'll start to announce what they are and the direction that their channel will take and stuff like that. Because it's quite a big change. It's going from, obviously at the minute it's just kind of the podcast. It's leaning into the beginners in the hobby, or people who are just coming back to the hobby and stuff like that. So it's quite a specific audience. But I think it should be good. I think that's it over the past 2 weeks. So it was nowhere near as much as you, but it's a lot more conceptual thinking and stuff like that. Pete, what have you been doing over the past 2 weeks?
Past 2 weeks, I've not done a massive amount of hobby, but I have been working on my Golden Demon for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Warhammer Fest in Manchester in 2023, was that?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Which seems a long time ago now. Then I went to Spiel Essen last year, and both years I entered Golden Demon. I'm not the best painter in the world, but every year it pushes my skills a little bit more. I'm able to attempt new things. I still haven't attempted non-metallic metal, and I don't think I ever will, because I probably don't have the patience for it.
Do you know what? I did it as a bit of a thing to try and push me back into doing some hobby stuff, as a completely different thing that I'd never done before. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm never going to paint an army as it, but actually as a thing, I'm finding it quite peaceful to try and get the blends. I'm not getting it right. It's definitely nowhere near as good as it could be, but I've actually found a lot more joy than I ever thought I would doing it, which is weird.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, and I'm doing a Viper jet bike, and I'm also doing the Warcry Ogre warband. I'm doing I can't remember what they're called now. For the life of me, I cannot remember what they're called.
Is it More Tribes? Is it More Tribes? Or is that the actual name of the warband thing?
That's the actual name of them in AOS. It's something like, is it the Gore Hunter Pack or something like that? Or Gorga or something like that.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah. But basically, I'm painting up a couple of them, just to be honest, just to practice doing skin tones, because I never really do skin tones except like a Space Marine face or something like that, or like a Cities of Sigmar face. So it's kind of really pushing my skin techniques and doing all that. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I've done really the last couple of weeks, and just kind of I've done a little bit of building, planning for another either diorama, or it might be a Golden Demon diorama. It might just be a diorama that I want to do because it would be a cool one to sit on the desk.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that sounds like a lot of
definitely never going to win, a Golden Demon Slayer sword or even probably a trophy. But if I could, at one point, get a little pin badge, I would be over the moon.
You don't know if you don't try. So.
Exactly.
I'd be the same. I'm not a professional painter. I'm never going to be a professional painter, and so I'm quite happy to sit there and go, I'm not going to win a Slayer sword. You see the Slayer sword winners, and
Oh my
talk about
God,
this quite a lot. Even the gold winners, they're professional painters. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what they do day in, day out.
Yeah. And seeing them in real life as well, like, they are just stunning. Like, the pictures that they put up on the website and Instagram, they don't do them justice.
No.
Like,
They're all compressed and horribly
Yeah.
done, and
It was the Warhammer Fest one, which was the Mega Gargant fighting the Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently that was the first time he'd ever poured resin in his life. And he got that effect.
That's very brave.
Yeah. And as soon as I saw it in the cabinet, I was like, I think that's going to win. Because it was just on another level to everything else there. Like, the fact that he painted the fish under the water and then poured the resin, it was just unreal. But yeah, if I could get a commended pin or a little card or anything, I think I would be the happiest man alive.
It's worthwhile, and like you say, as long as it's pushing you and you're getting what you want out of it, there is absolutely no harm in it. This is the message for anybody. There is absolutely no harm in entering competition, even if you don't think you're going to win it. It's going to push you to go and do something different. Like you say, for you, it is pushing you to go and try new things, push those techniques that you're learning, your skin tones, things like that. Also, you're also going to go. You're going to pay attention to all of the other entries and things like that. So you're going to pick up stuff just by looking at other people's through osmosis. And then there's a really good chance that at some point you're probably going to be able to get feedback from some really good painters. Like, MPO was a great example of that. There was some, like, walking around MPO, some of the world's best painters were at MPO. And you just to go, look, can you just give me a bit of advice? Can you just have a look at mine, see where I've got it right, see where I've got it wrong, and just give me some advice about where I can do better.
Yeah, and just people looking through the cabinets at Golden Demon, like, if you see someone, I always say that's mine, and you look at it and you think that's amazing, just follow them around to your model and just be like, excuse me, this is my model. Like you say, where am I going wrong? Where am I going right? Like, what can I do to improve that? Or, where do I need to improve? Because I always think as well, like, the bases massively make Golden Demon models, which is why kind of this year I'm doing the Viper jet bike flying through like a little canyon. And I've actually started using the makeup sponges to try and kind of get a bit more, what's it called, like gradual layers. And actually it's coming out really well.
Type.
Yeah, it's coming out so well, and I'm so happy with kind of the progress I've made on it so far. And I think so far it's looking very good. So fingers crossed. I've got until the end of October to get it done, but I'd like it done a long time before that so I can work on other ones.
I feel like it's a tradition to be doing some sort of Golden Demon entry on the night of the Golden Demon. It feels like everybody seems to post about just taking all their painting kit over there and doing the last few bits to it.
Yeah. I think last year I took glue and that was it. I didn't take any paints with me because I was like, and basically like I wrapped them models up so flipping securely. Like I magnetized the base. I had like this metal cake tin that I took them in. I've put bubble wrap all around it, carefully placed them in, and then when I saw one of my models in the cabinet, I saw that it had started to break. Basically, it's an Orc shock jump dragster, but I don't do anything by the book. I convert pretty much every model I have and it's a pod racer. So it's got the old Gorka Morka.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
It's got the old Gorka Morka tracks at the back, and then I think it's like the Storm Raven or Storm something, one of the Space Wing Flyers engines, and it's held by basically a bit of like plastic wire that I've pinned once before. And then I looked at it in the cabinet, and the front had just sunk down, and I was like, "Oh my god, no!" Like, that is the worst thing that could happen. And I spoke to one of the guys, and he was like, "I'll keep an eye on it." But I think what had happened is, because where it was sat directly under one of the lights, I think the heat from the light had started to melt the super glue a little bit. And then when I got home, it just broke fully, and I just haven't had the heart to fix it yet.
Oh, bless you.
I just can't bring myself to fix it. So at the moment, it's sat in my cabinet in two pieces, and I'm like, it will stay there until I need to play a game with it, and then I will fix it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing as well. I like to enter. Sorry. I like to enter Golden Demon pieces.
No, go on.
That I will play with as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few people like that. I know that Warpgate Studios, all of his are... Well, his painting is really, really good, but all of his, he's making sure that they are playable after. So, obviously there's a lot of people who build into plinths and stuff like that, which, let's be honest, they're not playable models. You can never then just take them off and put them onto a base. Whereas, like you, I think Sam over at Warpgate, he does the same thing. I think there's quite a few people. I was just going to say, let's move on to the next 2 weeks. Pete, we'll carry on with you. What have you got? What you got coming over the next 2 weeks?
I think, to be honest, just more work on my Golden Demon. Possibly do a tester model for my Gloomspite Gits. And that will probably be about it, really, because I think my Gloomspite Gits might be the only unpainted thing I have in my pile of shame.
I don't understand this about you at all, Pete. I know at the end of the year you'd painted everything and you had no pile of shame, and I still can't quite wrap my head around the fact that you have such a small pile of shame compared to literally anybody else I've ever spoken to.
Yeah, actually, it was a real big push at the end of the year. I was like, because I knew that I was getting some Gloomspite Git stuff for my birthday and Christmas, and I was like, I kind of just want to start on a fresh slate. So I was like, I'm just gonna smash through everything. I did send off to one of my friends 20 Death Company, or 10 Jump Pack Marines and 10 normal Marines, and he did the red X's on the shoulders for me. But yeah, they're pretty much done. Apart from obviously he was doing that for me, but yeah, nothing else really. Like I say, I've got my Gloomspite Gits. I did a little painting challenge the other day. I got one of the Farseers and did like a primary color painting challenge. So I used red, yellow, blue, and then I used like a wash, metallic, and white and black. And actually, I really enjoyed that. And then when I put it on my Instagram, someone said they wanted like a worn bronze or like worn gold look. So I've actually got a couple of Stormcast models. I'm going to do a little like just play around with, to be honest, to see if I can get a nice worn gold look on them and how easy I can get it. And then I might even do like a step by step as well and put it up on my Instagram page.
I really enjoy doing stuff like that. I did it with the chapter thing that I did with all the different chapters, doing different slap chop stuff like that. I've really enjoyed just having the old Marine and, like I say, Stormcast, or just the models that you get from like the Combat Patrol magazines and stuff like that, where it's relatively cheap. You can pick one up and you just like just going to paint it and just have a bit of fun with it and do something a bit different. I get so much motivation from it. Yeah,
definitely. And the Farseer was from the Combat Patrol, and I think one of my mates ordered it. He was like, I don't want it. So he gave it to me, and I was like, I'll paint it up. But yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah, do a tester model for my Gloom Sprites and continue work on my Golden Demon.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of fun. Dave, what are you going to get up to? What's going to be your challenge?
Right, I think I'm trying to execute a sustainable method of yellow helmets for my close support units. And I will probably get the other 4 intercessors built, assault intercessors built, and get the power up. If I can get power armor done, like the slap chop orange, done, that's a win for me. I think I may go for the extra mile these next 2 weeks and do the same with my captain with jump pack as well. So it's only 5 guys to get up to slap chop orange, but I feel like that would be doable. But I think my main focus will try to get this yellow down if I can. Then, which I've got sort of like 2 methods, which Ben, what I'm trying to go down. So I'm going to go down the 3 shades of yellow over black, like I did with the orange, and see how that turns out. I'm hoping it will sort of turn out sort of like the Blood Angels, like a bit of grime, like a grim dark look, but still pop, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was trying to see what it looks like with my standard grey and see what the difference is. But I feel like I know what the grey will turn out to be because I did it on my Death Leaper. It was quite chalky in places. And stuff
I guess
like
it's chalky. I think which yellow are you using? Is it the Imperial Fist contrast?
I think I use speed paints on that one. I tried to use Imperial Fist contrast, and I don't know if I did it the pinks and the purples wrong with a bit of white. It just didn't sit nicely, or I find it was too, or I don't know if I didn't shake it well enough, because it's still got like a hint of orange in it if you don't shake it enough.
Yeah.
So I think it could be a variable, many factors in my first attempt.
It's definitely a slightly. It's weird. You look at it and it looks like super bright yellow. But yeah, when you start to just kind of look into it a bit more depth, it is a slightly more orange one.
Yeah. It's not like Bad Moon Yellow or. I was looking at Oranges, but that's too dark of an orange.
Yes.
No, not orange. Sometimes I've got orange in my head. Too dark of a yellow in the contrast. So I may do 2 sets of each and do 2 sets of yellows on contrast, and I'm going to do probably 1 set and have one as like a backup. If I like the other one, I'll redo it again and see if which one I like the most. So I've got 2 contrasts and potentially I think it's the honeycomb from Speed Paints. I think it is called, and I'll see what the difference is between the 3. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
3 samples of yellow. 4 guys plus my bonus points for my captain to get up to slap chop orange. I think that's quite doable.
Yeah, definitely. And you got your tournament as well, right?
Yeah, I've got my tournament this Sunday, which is going to be good fun. My first game is against Necrons. It's already been shown.
Nice.
But I think I can handle it. I've got enough bodies. And it's got a Void Dragon in it and stuff like that. But it doesn't fly. I can outmaneuver it as so easy as it is. I can just, if I want, I can just send bodies into it and melter it and take off the table turn 1 potentially. It's got Doomsday Arc and other bits, but it should be quite an interesting matchup. And it's like, in the past, if I saw a list like that, I'd be flipping out. What I'm going to do with that? But I've got 30 Rough Riders and stuff like that with Melter Lances, so I'm not really too bothered if it's got like tanks in it, because I can just charge potentially, maybe turn 1 charge if I get first turn potentially, and the 3 units of 5 Death Riders will be just secondaries, because I found out when I played my test doubles with my mate Will, with his NIDS at the time, they just bounced off. They weren't strong enough to deal with like destroyers and stuff, which were like toughness 6. And I was pretty much using the power swords more because of the better AP damage output, and rather than frag tip lances, which didn't have no AP. I'm like, so the way I'm thinking of using them now is more of like, even though I own an extra 15 in my 2K, but I'll use them to do like screening or whatever bits because I can do the extra movement. But
that chaff unit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's on Sunday. I think it's about 3 games I'm going to say. So I'm sure I'm going to report back on that in 2 weeks on where we don't where we'd be back to normal with the schedule, where we'd be back to no more guests.
Just me and you, Dave.
3 weeks, 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But no, it's been brilliant. It's been an honour to get my name out there and stuff like that with all these other guests. But yeah, that's me. How about you, Ben?
So, like I said, I reckon I can get the NMM gold finished on that Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely the first push. Get the Tech Marine Iron Jaws War Boss built. And I want to try and record an episode of the new series, like I say, for the YouTube stuff. I reckon I can get that stuff done. It's not a huge amount. It's barely paint. It's paint 2 arms and a backpack on a Marine. And a head. I've got to remember that on a Marine. The slap chop method, I'd have done that in like 20 minutes, but these guys take an insane amount of time to get this NMM even remotely right. And then building 2 models. So it'd be more recording that first episode. I'm expecting it to take a long time just to make sure that I'm getting it right and getting the format down the way I want it. So I might have to end up re-recording bits and things like that. So so that'll be sort of my main focus. What I didn't say that I'd finished as well is the first book from Gaunt's Ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I managed to finish listening to that. I'm actually re-listening to it now. I tend to do this with when I get a new book. I tend to listen to it and then re-listen to it just to catch the stuff that I didn't. So, just because I drive to work and stuff like that. And I'll re-listen to that. So what I may do is look to get the second book. I did enjoy it. Talked about it in the last one. Obviously, I think I listened to the first hour and a half, something like that, for the episode with James. A lot of that first hour and a half was a lot of scene setting and getting to know those characters, which is good. The rest of that book did pick up. It was a lot, like you said, it was a lot less. It was a lot less. Here's all these guards. Here's a platoon and with mass battles and stuff like that. Which I was like, don't get me wrong, this is interesting, but it was more when it came to the specifics of the smaller units that are used and stuff like that. And that was interesting, and I did not really expect the ending. So that was a bit of a twist. What I'll probably do is look. Sorry, say that again, Pete.
I've just started actually reading the first Horus Heresy book after Heresy is my therapy episode, and I'm absolutely loving it so far.
It's a great book. Those for Dave, you've still got that challenge on you from Dan to start the Heresy books. Yeah. The first 3 books in the Heresy, I think, are a must read for almost anybody. I think they're absolutely cracking. Really, really good books. My issue is every time that I listen to them, I want to start a Lunar Wolves army.
Oh yeah.
Every single time. They're so cool in the first 3 books. Like the whole Mournival and stuff like that in the first 3 books. They're like Uber Space Marines. And it's before they've really sort of started to turn and things like that. Obviously, I think it's the 3rd book. Try not to spoil it for you, Pete. The 3rd book, I started to lose some love for certain characters.
Yeah.
And so they started to temper off a little bit. But yeah, those first couple, when they start to talk about like how they do operations and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's
You need to listen to them, Dave. They're a cracking read. You will start early in the Wolves Army. That is the only issue.
I'm not actually even listening to them. I'm actually reading the book, and normally I hate reading. Normally I'm pure audiobooks, but my friend lent them to me, the first three, and I was like, I should probably actually start reading these now.
They're definitely worthwhile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only like 5 or 6 chapters in, but it's like there's certain characters I'm like getting quite attached to, and I'm like, oh god, please don't turn.
Garviel Loken is an insane character throughout all of those books. He is one of. Don't get me wrong, I've not read / listened to much of the Heresy stuff, but Garviel Loken remains one of my favourite characters. He's such an interesting character, and the twists and turns that he has throughout the whole of the Heresy, is really interesting. So the further you get, the sort of, for me, the more attached you get to him. But there's definitely some characters where you're like, please be good.
I'm interested to see his character arc from just even the first 6 chapters. Like, he's mentioned so much in them, and it's no spoiler alerts, but like when the first couple of sentences is like, I was there when Horus killed the Emperor, I was like, what? And then you read on and realise what it's all about, and at first I was like, this is so confusing, and then as I carried on reading, I was like, oh, this makes sense now.
Yes, I won't. Have you read any of the last books as part of the Heresy?
No.
Okay. I won't say any more then. But they've done a really good job of like throwing back to some of the original books. So I won't say which bits and I won't say how and stuff like that. But they've done a really really good job of then linking up and sort of going full circle in some of those. So it's you're in for a good journey there, Dave. You should definitely get on that journey too.
Yeah, I'll just add it all to the Imperial Guard novels that I still got to read.
Just drop the Imperial Guard. It's all about those first 3 books.
Yeah,
literally, it's literally Heresy. No, they're great. I'm glad you picked them up, Pete, because it's weird because I was never that bothered about the lore side of 40k when I first started, and when I finally started to pick up those books, like it's really sort of driven me wanting to listen to more, and it just drives me to kind of like Wikipedia and stuff like that. Or not Wikipedia, just sort of like on the different websites and things like that, and learn more about specific characters. So even though I've not read all of the books, I know like Garviel Loken's character arc throughout all of them, because I'm like, this guy is so cool, and literally I've just sat and read through an entire wiki on Loken, and it's they're long. I did the same thing on Haldane, Inquisitor Haldane after Gaunt's Ghosts, because I was like, because I've listened to all the first 3 Eisenhorn books, and I was like, Haldane rings a bell. What's this all about? And then to have him then pop up in the Gaunt's Ghost books, I was like, this is weird. I don't like that character, so wasn't too bothered about what happens to him in those books. So that's fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's me over the sort of the next 2 weeks. Not a huge amount, but quite a focused sort of set of things that I want to try and achieve.
Sounds good.
Which I guess on that point, it's worth shifting over to the sort of topic of the episode, which Pete is you.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really good opportunity. Me and Dave were talking about this. It's a really good opportunity also to sort of weave in some of the other themes that are worth talking about, based off how you hobby and stuff like that, around stuff like mental health, which we'll come on to a little bit. The first thing that I sort of want to sort of highlight is the charity stream that you did, the 24 hours of Cities of Sigmar Spearhead.
Yeah.
You look like you wanted to die out of the back of that. So how did you find that?
I absolutely loved it. It was probably the best hobbying I'd ever done. So basically, for people who don't know, I did a 24-hour build and paint the Cities of Sigmar Spearhead box. I hadn't opened the box before I started the challenge. I'd literally just, I'd organised it all. I was streaming on Discord for 24 hours. Opened the box at 7 o'clock in the morning and went through to 7 o'clock the next morning. Luckily, on the Discord, I actually had someone from Australia join, and they were keeping me company in like between like 2 and 5 in the morning, which was very, very lucky. But yeah, I absolutely loved it, and I've got that Cities of Sigmar Spearhead in my cabinet, and I expanded it out to a 2,000 point army. And every time I look at it, I just think of the money that I raised for the charities, which was FND Hope, which is a condition that I suffer with, and I did it for Calm, the campaign against living miserably. So we raised just over £1,000.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, which was incredible. And the box was donated by Bad Moon Cafe in London. I've been going there pretty much since they opened, and I've got to know the guys there, and they said, it's such a good cause that they would donate the box to me, which, I was very, very thankful for. But yeah, I did get to the end, and I was like, I was looking at models, and I was like, I can't see any more that I can paint on that now. I think it got to about half 6, and I was like, I am done. Like, these are all, and I'll give you, I know you're both going to hate me for this, but I've never slap chopped in my life.
Okay.
Yep.
I
hadn't until Dave introduced me to it. So yeah.
I didn't use an airbrush for them. I was actually using the 2 thin coats paints for it. Mm-hmm. And those paints are incredible, absolutely amazing. They actually sent me. I got in contact with them, and they actually sent me some paints to use, which kind of dictated my color scheme actually. And the ones they sent me were incredible. Not an advert for them, but if anyone is out there looking for new paints, 100% go and check them out.
They are one of the smoothest paints that I've ever worked with.
They're so good.
Such an incredible consistency.
And the metallics are, I would potentially say, better than GW.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah.
But yeah, just 24 hours of building and painting. People thought I was absolutely crazy. People were like, "You're never going to do that. You're going to fall asleep." And like I say, I absolutely loved it. If I could do another 24-hour hobby and build, I would. But this year I've decided to do a slightly different challenge, which are we okay to go on to now, or?
Crack on.
So this year I'm raising money for combat stress. As a veteran myself, it's a very close to my heart charity, and I'm going to be building and painting Magnus the Red in 4 hours.
Without an airbrush.
Without an airbrush. So I will be building.
I think you are insane.
And then I will be pausing to spray, because the spray time isn't going to be included in any of it. And then I will be painting it, and then it will be auctioned off for combat stress afterwards as well. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I need to sit down and work out a plan and write down a plan for myself of what paints I want to use where. But again, I'm going to get the kit. I'm not going to look at the kit until I open it on that day. I know roughly. I've looked at it online. I've looked at other people's. I've looked at yours, Ben, online.
Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit. Yeah.
And basically, none of the armor is going to be going on.
Good choice.
So it's going to be a good kind of skin test for me, but obviously not your traditional skin. It's going to be a red skin, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's just, I feel like actually it's more daunting than the 24-hour challenge.
I'd say so. Yeah, obviously 24 hours is a long time. You've got a lot of time to sort of think through and go methodically. 4 hours is just like no, you've got no time. You just got to keep going. Almost irrespective of what happens, you just got to keep going and hope that it all works out in that time.
I'm hoping to get him built within about 45 minutes.
I think that's fairly reasonable. Yeah. I mean, Dave's built him for his partner as well. I think he's a relatively comfortable build.
Yeah, because I actually put it out on my Instagram and did a vote for people to... Because Fulgrim wasn't out at the point I decided to do the challenge, so he wasn't included in the challenge. So I put out a vote on, do people want to see me do Magnus the Red, Mortarion, or Angron? And luckily, everyone voted for Magnus.
I will say that you are. I don't think you could do either of the two in anything close to 4 hours. The level. So I've not got Angron, so I can't talk a huge amount about Angron. But the level of detail that goes from Magnus to Mortarion is absolutely mind-boggling.
I've built and painted
so
a Mortarion.
Much stuff on Magnus. No, Mortarion.
I've built him before, and it's a complex build. So, but yeah, and also the Thousand Suns are coming out, so hopefully when I auction it off, someone will be just starting Thousand Suns, or will be looking at adding him to their force, and hopefully we'll raise some money for that when we auction it off. And actually, I've set up the Just Giving page now, so that's now live. And I'm gonna be doing posts on my Instagram about that coming up soon. And yeah, if people want to donate, then I would be eternally grateful. If people can't afford to, then just watch along when I live stream it.
Well, if you ping me the link, I'll make sure that it's in the description of the video and the Spotify and stuff like that. So if anybody's listening that does want to go and donate, I absolutely recommend go and donate. Obviously, go and watch Pete as well. But yeah, I'll put all the links below. So it's definitely worth donating.
But yeah, I looked at Fulgrim and I was like, I can't include him because that model just looks insane.
Dave, you're looking forward to painting them, right?
Yeah, eventually, once I get round. I will probably buy them anyway, so I can sit in my pile of shame, as you do.
What's that? So
and it will literally be... I know, right? It's dirty talk. But I will... It will be my first ever Primarch. I haven't bought Gurneyman, I haven't bought the Lion, I haven't bought the other 3 other Primarchs. So this will be my first big boy, as they say.
You built the one for Vicky at least. You just chose not to paint. You just handed it off to someone else to paint, right?
It's literally sat next to me now, on her tray, waiting to get painted. So
I've not finished mine.
That's me. I don't touch it. I've done the slap chop, but that's me. But no, I'm looking forward to when eventually I'll come round to buying it. So what I thought I was going to buy it when it released. What was it, last week?
Yeah, I think it was last week or the week before as we were doing it.
Yeah, steep price tag, I must say. But I'm kind of guessing that's what big boys are nowadays.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like once I start diving into the Emperor's Children again, I think I won't buy that until it'll be my last thing on my force to paint. Then I can enjoy painting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'll just get sidetracked by the pretty thing, the big boy, and go, just sod these 20 odd guys here I've got to paint. I just paint him, and I just leave the other guys left half painted.
No, I think that's.
But yeah, I am looking forward to him, and go.
Yeah, I think that's a good kind of way to do it. Is get everything else painted, at least painted, maybe not based, but painted before you even buy him. So he's not just sat in the corner watching you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've still got the Noise Marines, or half built still. They're just in like jiffy bags at the moment. Just I don't know what's happened with them. I just nosed off a cliff at a bad time when I had no Hobby Mojo. But I'll get back to it.
I think when you've got no Hobby Mojo as well, when you look at a mod, especially a Chaos model with the amount of trim and detail that they've got on them, sometimes they're the worst ones to get you back in. Sometimes you just need a plain Space Marine or a Storm one cast,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
just something you've painted before or built before, which is relatively easy. But I looked at those new Emperor's Children model, and I was like, I got anxiety by just looking at the trim on them. Like
I think I did a cop out on my one. I just did black trim. I wasn't going to paint gold or silver. I was like, oh hell no, I'm not doing all that. That would just drive me insane.
Yeah.
So I took the easy way out. I just left it or washed it Black Templar, but made sure it was a bit watered down, not watered down, contrast medium down.
Yeah.
So it's not just gone over black and it just ruins all my highlights, and it just felt it's pointless. But I totally get it. It's like that could be one of the factors when I was building them. I was like, just seeing all these gloves with the trim on trim. That's pretty much what I see it as.
It is.
It's like, but it's quite nice to have that break up because I've always done Imperial. This is my first ever Chaos Army I've done, and it's quite a quirkiness to do Chaos.
Yeah.
Because you can, it's sort of got the free reign of orcs in a way of how you want to paint them, because Chaos can be Chaos as what you want it to be. It doesn't. There's no distinguish of what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like with orcs, you can paint them whatever colour you want. You can paint them orange if you wanted to. And people wouldn't, majority of people wouldn't argue, they're just orcs, you know. But no, I am looking forward to Fulgrim. But if he asks when would I get it, I wouldn't know when. I'm in no rush to get him. I'm quite fortunate where I've got a 2K guard army, and I don't need anything else. I've always been a guard boy through and through, and once I get a list at 2K, I don't really tend to change it as much. I just stick to it.
Yeah.
Rather than there may be like the newest unit, like a guard army has like a new, I don't know, another horse unit, for example.
Another horse, Dave.
Yeah. So I will get to 120 eventually. If it will happen.
They'll make them battle line, and then you can make just double them
don't get my hopes up, Ben.
Battle line 20-man squads.
Yeah, that'd be good. I could see Death Riders be 20 because they're more like light cav in a way, how they're portrayed in the fluff, because they're supposed to be screening stuff and lure the enemy in, and the infantry do the punch. I think it should be the other way around, but that's me. And the Rough Riders, I think, if they had 20-man Rough Riders, Jesus Christ, that'd be broken. 240 points for 20. Yes, please. It's like a Land Raider. But yeah, trying to swing it back onto the Primarch. But yes, I will get it eventually, but there's no ETA on it. I like it to be like a nice treat. Unless Vicky buys it for me, it's a win-win. I'll probably paint it there and then, but that's dependent on budget, obviously, unfortunately.
You saying about doing like a 2,000-point army and just sticking to that. So I've got a Tau army, a Tau army, and basically it's got the two biggest Tau models, not two biggest because you've still got the Manta, but it's got a Storm Surge and a Supremacy armor in a 2,000-point list, and I run that quite happily in a 2,000-point list because if I've got the model, I'm going to run it because I don't know how much longer it's going to be. Not Legends, really. My wife actually bought it for me for our anniversary a couple of years ago. She bought me the main body and was like, "This doesn't come with arms." I was like, "No, it doesn't come with arms." And the size of it is unreal. But it was, bear in mind it's Forge World, and most people go, "Oh, Forge World resin is notoriously bad for being warped or not going well together or having to fill loads of gaps." It was the best kit I've ever put together in my life. It was incredible. Pieces just slotted together and almost didn't need gluing. I was so shocked.
I think that's the most positive I've ever heard anybody about it.
I had to do a little bit of gap filling around the neck and around the back of the body, but that was it. Like the legs, just
Hmm.
like I say, basically didn't even need glue. They just slotted together so nicely. And they were it's probably one of the best. It's on top of my hobby cabinet now because it won't fit in the hobby cabinet. And whenever I bring it to a game, people are like, "What the hell is that?" Like, and
Yeah.
I just absolutely love it. It's like 790 points. And then the Storm Surge is like 400. So basically, I've got the rest of my Tau army, and I don't change the list because that's 2,000 points, pretty much on the nose with enhancements. So yeah, I'm more than happy with that, and I think it's the best way to play an army is get 2,000 points and just play that army. If you want to add something on later,
Absolutely.
you can do, but I think having the 2,000 points and you kind of then perfect that, and it's enjoyable being like, oh, actually, this didn't do very well last game. How can I change it up to this game to actually kind of get more out of that unit, or what am I doing wrong with that unit that I can then change in the next game? And I think Tau are quite a good army for that actually, because they only really have one playstyle unless you put the crew in. But it's how can I differ up that playstyle to do different bits in games, and I don't normally win with them because I haven't got enough bodies to do objectives or the secondaries. But I think once I one-shotted a Land Raider, a Baneblade, and I've one-shot the Redemptor Dreadnought as well with the Taunar, because the Top Gun is, because I've got the heavy rail cannon on it, and it's like strength 26, -5, flat 16 damage, 2 shots, devastating wounds.
Yeah.
It's absolute. When you roll hot and you get like, you're in the sustained hits. I think I once was targeting Lehman Russ, and I think I got sustained hits 2 as part of the detachment. I rolled 2 6s for my hits, had 6 hits, and then it was nuts.
Yeah, 100%. It's like if you, I've learnt from the hard way with my Rough Riders, and I think I've told Ben numerous times where I'll get overexcited, overcommit too early, and they just get steamrolled.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like people. I think when people get introduced to the hobby, it's probably another tangent we're going down, but who cares? Where people get introduced to the hobby, they just see the meta. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not confident enough to have free reign of themselves. It's like, unfortunately, like probably most of us here, we've been in the hobby for quite a long, ranging from 5 to 25 years in the hobby. It's like we just go, yeah, we'll just go with whatever we like, and as you said there and then, it's like if you stick to something long enough, you can make that weak unit quite your strongest asset.
Yeah.
For example, like you could play it completely differently when in like a tournament setting, for example. People wouldn't think of doing that with that type of unit, or they wouldn't even consider this unit in their force, but seeing how you play it, they go, oh, okay, I can actually try this way of playing with this unit.
Yeah.
You can open up people's eyes and stuff like that with new units. It's like the Riptide, not Riptide, that's the baby suit. It's like the Storm Surge. People don't look at it because they just see it as a big model, as like a point sink into it. But as me and Ben always say in these podcasts, it's all about the rule of cool at the end of the day.
100%.
If you like the big, what's the thing from the movie Pacific Rim, whatever it is, where the pilots drive it. I can't remember.
The Jaegers.
Jaegers, that's it. If you like the big Jaeger sort of thing, then knock yourself out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you probably get some stigma by it because you look, he brought a freaking Forge World model. but that's probably mostly from the people that bring knights to the table, and you can pretty much one-shot knights left, right, and centre.
It does upset me when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you're selling yours, Ben, aren't you? So you can
I am selling
dust your
mine.
shoulder off.
Yeah. So I won't be that upset soon because I want to kill all the knights soon. Yeah, I won't have them. So.
But
And
yeah,
the
that's all I'll say. I'm not agree with you.
The Town Supremacy armor is very good for one shot and anything really. It's when you bring it out, like I say, when you bring it. Normally, I bring the Storm Surge out first when I'm setting up the list, and people go, "Oh, that's a big old model," and then I pull out the Supremacy armor, and a lot of people then kind of flock to the table as well because they're like, "I've never seen one in real life," or "Oh my god, what the hell is that?" Because not many people have seen one. You know, I know a guy in my like kind of local hobby group, and he's just got into the hobby, and he's gone heavy on Tau, and as one of his first purchases in the hobby, he bought the Supremacy armor, and I was like, "Are you absolutely kidding me?" I was like, "I can't believe you've just gone out and bought that, and you haven't even built like a Fire Warrior or a Pathfinder or a Crisis Suit yet, and you've gone out and bought like the second most expensive."
Just go big, go home.
Yeah, pretty. You might as well have just bought a Manta. That's crazy.
Yeah. Pete, there's another thing I wanted to sort of bring us back, but it's another thing that I really want to talk about, and it's quite an important one. Is obviously you run your mental health nights at Bad Moon Cafe. Where did that come about from?
So I actually met someone in the hobby called Mike who used to do a mental health day once a month at Bad Moon, and I went along to a couple of them, and I was telling my story about how I had my accident at work, how it kind of changed my life really, and people were just sat there like, I can't believe you're here, you're walking, what the hell? And he then he had other priorities in his life, had a bit of ill health, and he kind of stopped that. And I was talking to one of the guys at Bad Moon, one of the owners, and I was like, I'd really like to start like a bi-weekly, or not bi-weekly, fortnightly hobby night. Would that be okay from 6 till 10 p.m? And they were like, absolutely. That's the main reason that we find that people get into the hobby, is because they're looking for a kind of an outlet. They're looking for something to do that's not just sat in front of the computer or playing on the PlayStation or Xbox, or and they're looking for something they can just sit and focus on. So I said to them, can I run a hobby night? And they absolutely jumped at the chance, and it's been going for 2.5 years now. We're slowly, it's taking its time, but it's slowly getting kind of a good following now. We're starting to get some regulars down. One of our regulars moved away a little while ago, and it was quite sad actually kind of saying bye to him, and because he'd kind of become part of the furniture for the hobby nights, and kind of seeing his progression, because he was quite new into the hobby, and seeing his progression of starting his Space Marines and his Tyranids. And before he left, he played his first game of Warhammer, and he said he would never have done that if it hadn't been for the hobby nights, and that kind of made me quite proud, and like a proud dad really, that he got the chance to do that. And I don't when we're doing the hobby nights, I don't say to people, or I don't really have a focus that I want to talk about that week. Sometimes we'll just sit there and we won't talk at all. Sometimes we'll talk about models, or we'll talk about recent events or something like that. But I'm not encouraging people to talk about their mental health. What I want to encourage people is that there's a safe space if they want to talk about it. And some people, for their mental health, is just coming down, having a beer, building a model, painting, and that's it. That's all they want to do. So I'll tell my story to a lot of people, and I'll kind of explain what happened to me and why I started it up. But if people don't want to talk about what's going on with them, then there's no pressure. There's no judgment from other people. It's a completely kind of safe space, and if people want to come down and not say a word, that's absolutely fine by me.
Yeah. So you definitely need more places like that. It's like, I think me and Ben can agree. Mental health, for me personally, mental health is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because bit of background from me. I had a mental breakdown. Was it over a year and a bit ago? Because I used to live on the Isle of Wight back in the day. Bit of a history, guys, for the other listeners. And stuff happened. I got divorced and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I stayed on the island for my daughter for about 3 years. Work didn't really help with the situation, like toxic at work and stuff like that. And obviously that just sent me over the edge. As I had enough done. I went at breaking point, and luckily I got supportive family around me.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And within 8 months, I decided I put my house flat up for sale and stuff like that, because I needed to be my support network around me, so my family, my friends.
Yeah.
And luckily I had the hobby to keep me going, just going. And I'm a huge believer that this community is brilliant when we all come together.
Oh,
it's common
so
cause.
good, yeah.
Because I feel like absolutely, I think mostly everyone can relate to mental health in a way, because we've all had it.
Yeah.
In a way, even if we won't air it, I'm quite comfortable airing my situation and what happened to me. You know, I've got no shame in it because it's just natural. And I feel like with this community now, it's removing that stigma, especially for blokes. I think you probably can possibly agree on it, because blokes don't chat.
No, they don't.
And where this community, it's almost like a woman's like chit chat. You just start chatting without realising you're chatting, and you get stuff off your shoulders and your chest and stuff like that. And I feel like that's what's kept me sane. And this hobby is like, I've been doing this hobby for like 25 years plus, since I was 9. You know, I'm 36 now, and it's just kept me that sane throughout. And I'm sure you probably hear stories from people from different backgrounds with mental health and stuff, and how this hobby is pretty much, I would say, saved people in a way.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I've always encouraged people to, like, it's like me and Ben are trying to run Sunday hobby hangouts and stuff like that, just to get people on. And as you say, it's like, we just don't chat at all. You probably just hear guys breathing down the microphone or whatever 99% of the time. But I feel like where there's community, especially when COVID happened, everyone go, oh crap, I need a hobby, because I'm going to go insane in this 4 walls and not chat to anyone.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like this hobby is evolved massively since COVID, since all that came out.
Absolutely massive.
And people in the community, just pockets of everyone everywhere now, just chatting.
Yeah. And I actually had someone approach me on Instagram and said, we're doing our own little mental health hobby night. Do you have a topic? Do you ask people to tell their story? And I was like, no, I just tell people they can come down, and if they want to sit and chat, they can. I said to them, if you want to bring up a topic, that's fine, but I never do that. I never kind of encourage people. Maybe not encourage. Maybe I don't force people to talk about their stories or what's going on, because I don't think that people should be forced to tell a story they don't want to tell or don't feel maybe comfortable, especially if it's their first time at the hobby night. They don't know who I am, but I will happily tell my story, and I can tell my story now if that's okay. So I was working I was working for quite a big company in London, a very famous bridge that opens like that, and I was in the high voltage room by myself, and I had a fall. I fell about 10 feet off a ladder while I was exiting the room, and I was found unconscious on the floor. It took them 3.5 hours to kind of extract me from that room. We had the police, we had the fire, we had paramedics, and we had the specialist rescue team from the paramedics as well. And I can't thank them enough, really. They were absolutely fantastic. I got trauma called to King's Hospital, Royal London. So thank you, Jodie. And basically, I had the neck brace on when I got there. I had all these wires attached. My wife was over in Richmond at the time, so it took her quite a while to get to me. And then, I was in the hospital. I was feeling fine. I was a bit of pain, but I was like, I feel fine. Can I just go home? And then when they went to stand me up or sit me up in the bed, as they sat me up, I basically I couldn't remember who I was, what I was doing there, what had happened, and they just put it down to concussion, and they said, give him a couple of days rest. He can't watch TV for more than 15 minutes at a time, so just try and get him to do other things, which again is where Warhammer came in, because it wasn't sitting in front of the TV. It was using my hands, and I kind of had to work out what I was doing because I couldn't remember anything. My wife, who wasn't my fiance at the time, I couldn't remember our history together. It was a scary time. And then this went on for about a couple of weeks, and we were going to Budapest on holiday in December that we'd already booked. So we had, we spoke to the hospital, and they said, "Am I allowed to fly? Because I still can't remember things, like what's going on." So they sent me for a CT scan, and it all came back clear. And we were like, "Well, why can't I remember things? Why aren't things getting better?" So we had some further tests and further investigations done, and thankfully I got an MRI in just before COVID hit, and everything kind of locked down. And again, the MRI showed absolutely nothing. So we went for some more tests, and basically they diagnosed me with functional neurological disorder, FND. Basically, it's where the neurons in your brain don't connect and don't fire properly. So my brain will be telling me one thing, but it's not getting over to another part of my brain or to my body or something like that. So sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I can't move my legs, I can't move my arms, sometimes I can't move anything from my neck down. I know that I can move it, but my brain is just telling me that I can't, so I can't feel anything, I can't move it, which obviously, is very scary. Some days I wake up in the morning and I don't recognise my wife in the bed next to me. I don't recognise my house. I don't recognise my dog, and that's it's a scary situation to be put in. And then I started to try and go back to work about a year later, and basically my job kind of just gave me they were so scared that something was going to happen to me that I had to be escorted to and from the toilet. I had to be escorted to and from lunch, and going from being quite a high profile job of being an engineer on a very famous bridge in London to having someone escort you to the toilet just really got me down. And November 2020, I took an overdose and tried to kill myself. Luckily, once I'd done it, I called the ambulance straight away because I realised what I'd done and realised what a stupid thing it was. But at that time, I just couldn't see another way out. I started some therapy after that. I got on some tablets. I saw a specialist in FND, who I still see every year. And yeah, kind of, I could wake up tomorrow and forget that I'd ever recorded this whole podcast, pretty much. Things do come back to me after a time, but pretty much sometimes from before my accident, there's bits that have just gone. I will never remember them. So yeah, it's definitely been a challenge the last couple of years, but I think Warhammer and its community has massively helped me there. And that's why I kind of want to raise money and doing these charity events and kind of giving back to the charities that have helped me out in my time. And I think I need to give a big shout out to my wife Jodie as well, because she is my absolute rock. So many people that would happen to you, and they would kind of go, well, this isn't the person I fell in love with, or this isn't my husband, and it'd be quite easy for her just to walk away if she wanted to, but she stuck she stuck with me throughout the whole thing, and I have nothing but respect and love for that woman. And it makes every day easier knowing that I've got someone like that around me that understands what's going on and can what's the word I'm looking for, just support me, and whatever happens, I know that she's going to be there for me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting, because we talked a lot about the community, but like everybody, I've got a story and stuff like that, and well, I'll go into mine. I've not really talked about it a huge amount, but so I have two wonderful children, but that's of 5 pregnancies. You name it, when it comes to pregnancy, it's happened to us. My wife's very first pregnancy was an ectopic pregnancy. I remember at the time, me and my partner worked together for a long time in the same office and stuff like that. And I remember her messaging me and saying, I've got some pains. And we went to the hospital. So we were at the hospital about 10:30 in the morning, something like that. We got home about 12 o'clock that night. One of her fallopian tubes was rupturing. That's what the pain was. That's what was driving it. And so for anybody who kind of knows about ectopics and about issues to do with that, that's probably one of the most dangerous things that can happen as part of an ectopic pregnancy. If you rupture a fallopian tube, basically the person can bleed out, and you won't really know anything about it. It just bleeds out internally, lose a lot of blood, and so actually my partner could have died at any point, and it was rupturing as she went under the surgeon's knife. So that was quite a big thing. For us to get through together, it was quite a lot of trauma on my partner's side. We then sort of decided to carry on, which was a hard enough choice in itself. So you kind of go through all that, and you kind of then sit there and go, it's a weird one. Like your chances of having another ectopic don't necessarily change, but because you've shown that you've had one before, they basically increase your chances of having it. So everyone's got a rough chance of having an ectopic pregnancy, but if you've had one, you've got a propensity to have another one. So it was quite a big decision to carry on and try for our first. But we did. We had a first. The pregnancy went absolutely fine and stuff like that. And the plan was always to have 2. That was always the thing that we talked about for a long time. Then we went through a miscarriage, which is, again, incredibly high chances of having a miscarriage. Nobody really talks about it. The amount of people that have miscarriages is absolutely insane. Same with ectopics, actually. The percentage they give people of having an ectopic pregnancy is relatively low, but there's other people in the community who have come out. People know them. I won't talk about them here because they may or may not want to talk about it. But I've reached out to people who have had ectopic pregnancies as part of that are in this community, and sort of said, you're not alone. it definitely felt lonely at the time. But yeah, then we had a miscarriage. Again, same thing. Nobody really talks about it. It's quite a personal thing, and it hits you quite hard, because a lot of the time you sort of take that blame upon yourself, as to both myself and my partner, that it's kind of, is it my fault this happened type of thing. So that happened then, and then the next pregnancy after that, we had to have a termination for medical reasons, which is insane. Things seemed to be going fine, and then they didn't very quickly, and that's probably the one that hit me the most. I don't want to lie, the ectopic pregnancy hit me quite hard, but at the same time, that was never necessarily a viable pregnancy. So it was always a thing of we kind of just need to get this sorted. Whereas a lot of terminations for medical reasons tend to happen once you know that there's a viable pregnancy, and so you know that there's a baby there, and you end up either having to make a decision or being forced into making a decision, which is it's soul destroying, absolutely soul destroying. And yeah, but I never saw anybody about that. I never saw a therapist or anything like that. But what I did find myself doing was basically just throwing myself into painting. Anytime that I didn't have to be looking after our first child, or doing work or stuff like that, I was just painting, just sat there painting away, just basically just trying to ignore the outside world. And it wasn't necessarily healthy. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't necessarily the best way of working through trauma. But I did find that it helped me release from that world, that real world. I could just go sit down and focus purely on painting. I could sit in silence, or I could sit with a video on, or whatever I wanted to do, and it gave me a reason to not think about the shit that was actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, even though I didn't necessarily reach out to anybody in the community, or I didn't necessarily use that community as a thing to sort of keep me going, there was always people who were willing to chat and stuff like that, who didn't know about it, and so it was kind of like having that normality of just being able to chat about the hobby and stuff like that, or yeah, like I say, just sit and paint. Yeah, it was a really, really big thing. Took quite a lot of time off work with stress off the back of that, and stuff like that, as you'd probably expect. Thankfully, obviously, everybody knows I've now had my second. But yeah, it's incredible how that journey to try and become a parent is so. For some people, it's the easiest thing. They breeze through it. They get the children they want and stuff like that. Whereas for other people, it can be incredibly, incredibly hard. And even to this day, I know that I spoke to my partner and stuff like that. But even to this day, there's parts of us that sort of hear about people getting pregnant and how joyous it was and everything like that. And you're kind of just like, I'm still, even though I've got my 2 children, I don't want any more. You still got that part of you that's like, I wish I had it that easy at the time, because there's always that little bit of trauma, or residual trauma, that just kind of sits there. So yeah, it's everyone's got the stories, but like I say, for me, it was actually just being able to sort of sit and switch off. It wasn't even necessarily going and talking to anybody in the community about it or anything like that. It was, yeah, I could just turn off. I had that escapism, and I guess the really, really nice thing about the hobby is the fact that yes, I leaned into painting, but I could have leaned into reading or listening to books or watching videos or just playing game after game after. I could have literally just gone every now and just gone and played a game. There's so many different options in the hobby, routes for escapism within the hobby, that it makes it really easy to use it that way. And Instagram, the community and stuff like that is, and like the stuff you do, Pete, is really important to try and help people. And like you say, you don't necessarily have to go to these things and talk about it. You don't. Obviously, we've all just talked about our sort of own individual situations and things like that, but just being able to go and be around like-minded people and just find some peace in something that's just not the day-to-day life where you're having to think about it, it's incredible. It just gives you that 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours of being able to escape from the shit that is the real world just for that little bit, and it's just refilling you and allowing you just to carry on with the rest of your day. It's really important.
100%, and I think people just being able, like you say, being in the company of like-minded people, the amount of chats that we've had on the hobby nights about like what Primark is the best, or what model would you build and paint if you had unlimited money and stuff like that. Just chatting like that, and you can see kind of the joy in people's faces sometimes when they're just sat down, and they sometimes they come in and they're looking a bit stressed because they've come straight from work or anything like that, and just the joy you see in their face when they sit down and they get a model out that they're building or painting or whatever, just it fills me with joy.
Yeah, it's just that, I guess it's that level of escapism you get, isn't it? It's such an important thing, and don't get me wrong, like, it's obviously there's a balance to be had. It's you shouldn't avoid your sort of mental health issues or anything like that. Like you said, Dave, it's a normal thing. Everybody goes through it. It doesn't matter how strong you think you are or how manly you think you are. Everybody will go through it. There'll be shit parts in your life where sometimes you just need to face up to it and just be like, no, this is an issue. I need to go talk to somebody about it, or I need to get some more support from, be it my friends or my partner, or, like you say, Dave, having that support network around you, and just sort of be willing to open up. Not even necessarily talk about what the trauma is, but talking about how you get through it, I think, is the important thing. You don't necessarily need to address it and be like, oh, this is my trauma. It's, well, this is how I'm suffering through my trauma. I want to get through it. It was always the important thing for me.
Yeah, and I think it's learning those coping mechanisms that work for you. I now do like meditation. Me and my wife put on a sleep story before we go to bed because that helps relax me. Because I mainly find that I have my symptoms if I'm feeling extremely tired or stressed. So it's just trying to reduce those down. I've got my techniques that I do. If I can feel myself kind of getting a bit too stressed or a bit too tired, I can take myself away and I can do those techniques, and that works for me. But it might not work for other people. So sometimes it's about having those ways of dealing with that in that moment as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking about this topic as well, I think there is the sort of other flip side of it, and especially it's probably less the hobby and more sort of the Instagram side, the content side of things. It feels like there are ways that this hobby can have a negative impact on mental health. It's obviously we talk about all its virtues and stuff like that, but the hobby can do that, and I've especially found Instagram to be particularly bad at that. Don't get me wrong, Facebook and Reddit can be pretty vile as well, but you're obviously always putting yourself out there and judging yourself and pushing yourself. Definitely is sort of growing a little bit more. I think when you're a little bit more established, there's definitely the pressures there. But in terms of if you're really trying to grow and push and stuff like that, and constantly get the content out and stuff like that. I mean, even making a podcast and stuff like that. It's why I took the break before the birth of my second child. Was I felt such a huge amount of pressure to carry on making the podcast and to not take a break, and literally to be like, I'm not going to take a break. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to record 20 podcasts up front. I'll edit them all, and then they'll just be ready to go. And that way I can have a bit of a break. But then I was looking at it, I was like, that means I'm recording and editing. Well, I'm recording. I would have had to do sort of three, maybe 4 episodes a week, and then edit on top. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, it's a hobby. Like, why am I pushing myself to try and create all this content? Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed doing it, but at the same time, it was having quite a negative impact on my mental health.
Yeah.
And so there is that caveat of, it's not always sunshine in the hobby. There are things, and you just need to manage it in the right way. But
yeah, definitely. And I think, like you say,
it's interesting.
I think if you were recording 3 or 4 podcasts a week and editing them, that's basically a full-time job.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got any enjoyment out of it. The enjoyment that I did get out of it would have just completely gone. Yeah. There'd have been no point doing it. So yeah, 100%. That was like one of the key reasons behind taking the break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the hobby is fantastic for it. But yeah, I guess there are these pitfalls. I think on that side, I think I think people get worried about taking a step away from social media. You get that FOMO and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know I've seen a lot of posters. It's obviously we're starting to get into con season now, and there's quite a few people online who, they might buy tickets to something or something like that, and then feel the pressure to go. I think if you're suffering with things like anxiety or not, like especially people who don't introvert type people, if they're going to struggle, I'd say don't necessarily put the pressure on you to do it. If you put more and more pressure on, then it's just going to get worse and worse, and you'll end up going. You're not going to enjoy it because you're going to hate every second, and you possibly even going to have anxiety attacks, which is really going to ruin your day. So, it's. I think people don't. I'd say don't be scared of taking that step back. Take a step back away from Instagram. Take a break. Yeah. Just disappear for a month. You can still keep messaging people. You can still go on Discords and things like that. The community still exists, but you don't have to. You don't have to actively be showing yourself as part of that. You don't have to be going to these events. If you buy a ticket and you don't want to go on the day, just accept it and just know that it's better for your mental health. It's a good idea to not necessarily do those things.
Yeah, 100%. And when I went to Spiel Essen last year, I was petrified because it's like the biggest gaming convention in the world. It's not just tabletop games; it's board games. It's everything really, and I think there's 7 halls in total, and I was like, how are we ever going to get around all this? How busy is it going to be? How am I going to cope with my anxiety? But I absolutely loved it, and there was loads of areas where you could step outside, and you could sit down and have a bit of lunch or have a drink, and you could kind of recharge yourself and then go back in, and some days we didn't stay all day, or some days we just go like, we're going to do this hall today and that's it, no more. And I think it's just like you say, it's about limiting it and about recognizing, like you say with Instagram, when you're looking on Instagram and you're seeing these amazing like conversions or paint jobs, and you're like, I'm never going to be able to paint like that. But you've got to remember that sometimes this is people's job to paint like that, or they've put a filter on it, or they've got the lighting just right with the perfect background. If I take a picture of my model, I'm always going to find mistakes. But I think it's just kind of getting to the point where you're like, I'm happy with what I've done. I'm going to post it for people to see. And it doesn't matter if it gets 1 like. It doesn't matter if it gets 100,000 likes. As long as you're happy with it, that's just the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing it for you.
Yeah, 100%. That's what, where my Vicky's getting into the hobby at the moment. So she's got mild cerebral palsy down her left side. So she can't use her left side hand and stuff like that. And like what you said, so don't worry about what people think. It's like, just do what you can. It's like, you can, luckily she's got a sense of humour, she can take a mick out of it. She goes, well, I've only got one hand. So, I was like, exactly that. And I've sent her like random TikTok things of like, these random women that do the hobby that paint marines bright pink with Hello Kitty like things on it. I was like, good example. Don't let people judge what you do.
Yeah.
And don't compare yourself to other people, because as you said, and as me and Ben said, if we could talk to our younger selves podcast episode, what we could say to our younger selves, like, don't let people judge what you do. Everyone's in the community for a different thing, and everyone's at different levels, and you're at a different level. Then maybe there's someone below you, or for me, for example, that looks at my work. It's like, why can't I reach that standard? It's like, stop comparing me to you. It's like, it's like, you may just got into the hobby, and I've been doing it for 25 years, so I've got that experience. And it's like you said, it's like people doing it for a living, like, is it Fletcher from Tabletop Tactics?
Yeah.
he does it for a living. It's like 8 hours a day. You know, it's like a darts player. It's like if he wants to play in professional darts, they play 8 hours a day non-stop. And that's why they're so good. And the pinnacle point of their painting career, it's probably the only people that will be on par with them. It's probably the heavy metal painters or they're like top tier. But then again, that's doing it for a living. But 99% of us who are in the hobby, we've got other lives out of the hobby. So we've got work as an engineer. You're also an engineer, aren't you, Ben? And stuff like that.
Yes.
And I work on a farm, for example. So we're all from different work backgrounds, and unfortunately, we don't have enough time in the day. Because for me personally, I've got like a rule. So I don't do painting until my kids are in bed, and that's usually about 8, half 8, give or take. And that's my time. I'll probably get like an hour in, and I've come to terms to accepting that. I'm like, that's fine. So it's only an hour, but that's that hour of escapism. And I feel like people just need to find their rhythm and just go with it and just stop comparing people. Unfortunately, that's humanity. At the end of the day, we all compare each other.
Yeah.
You know, we're not all perfect. Unfortunately, that's just down to the human race. You know, that's one of our flaws. Because I compare myself to like, oh, I wish I could do that guy who won Golden Demon or whatever. That's insane. It's like looking like an artwork on your phone in 4K high definition. Or, you know, but it's taken me so long to realise to stop comparing myself to that until I was about late 20s, early 30s. And I just accepted my style. And haters are going to hate. Let them hate.
Yep.
Because it's quite easy to block people now. As me and Ben found out. From people.
I had someone
like
that must be a year and a half ago. I put up a post about my quite heavily converted orcs. They are pretty much made out of any kits I could find, and he sent me a message and was like, "These are absolutely crap. Why have you done this? Why have you wasted these parts?" Because I think I made some killer cans out of like Tau Crisis suits that at the time no one could get Tau Crisis suits for love nor money. And he was like, "You're just ruining these models." And I was like, block. I think I put a post out about like saying, you know, I didn't. It wasn't nice to receive that, but I blocked him and I deleted the message and I moved on. At the end of the day, it's my models. It's what I spent my money on. I'll build them and paint them, as I say, it's like how I want.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know? So I was like, I've never been the type of person to criticise someone else's painting. It may not be my style. It's like that Fulgrim Fletcher painted, for example. It's like you posted in Discord. It's like, it's not my taste, for example, but if that works for him, fantastic. I'm all for it. You know, it's brilliant. It's like, it's insanely wickedly gory in places. It's absolutely brilliant. But for me, it's just not my taste. But that's fine. So you don't need to project your anger onto people to make yourself feel better. It's just like, there's no point. As you just said, just like, don't respond to it. Just be the bigger person. Just block them. At the end of the day, it's just negativity, and you don't need it. And it's only like a bad apple in a bunch of awesome people in this community, luckily. So it's like, it's probably 1 in every 1,000 or whatever. That's just a random prediction. But in this sea of hobbyists worldwide, which is insane, because who would have thought when you told your younger self you'd be chatting to some person in Japan that does Warhammer? You know, it's like a universal language now. It's absolutely insane. You don't need to speak the same language anymore because people can just speak through their artwork, you know?
Yeah. It feels like a good place to sort of call the conversation, given sort of how long we've been going on. But I think it's been a really conversation, and weirdly, we didn't go on for too many tangents during that. We kept it relatively well focused.
Very good boys.
It just shows how important the topic is, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess from a next podcast, Dave, you kind of hinted we're not going to have a guest on the next one. We're going to make it a little bit personal. We're going to go down the truly well and truly tested theory of favourite Primarchs.
Oh, I love it.
So, yeah, me and Dave are thoroughly writing down why we hate each other's Primarchs. Why I think what Fulgrim's the worst possible Primarch ever, and the Lion is going to beat out everybody. Spoiler: he probably won't win out on everything. So, yeah, it'd be obviously from a this podcast point of view. We probably won't put out a post about it or anything like that because it's going to be sort of purely sort of mine and Dave's thoughts on it. But it'd be good to sort of hear about what other people's thoughts are on that, and in terms of sort of commenting and stuff on this one, it'd be really good to sort of hear people's experiences in the hobby and how it's helped them get through. I really enjoy sort of reading people's stories, and it's like feel good stories.
Yeah.
How people have used the hobby to get sort of improve mental health and stuff like that, and it's. I'd love to sort of hear more from people. So if people want to message us, they're more than welcome to. Or I'm going to say, definitely from my point of view, obviously what I talked about it's definitely not an isolated thing. There's lots of people who have gone through or are going through something similar. If you want to message me, feel free. Like, honestly, I'm happy to talk about anything. I am not a mental health professional. I will say that straight away. I probably won't be able to help solve your problems, but at the same time, I do know. I know what you're going through in those ones, and if you just want someone to come and talk to, I'm open. I won't speak on behalf of the other two. I'll allow them to sort of say whether or not they want the similar. But
so absolutely, I'm the same. So from my perspective, like loneliness is a big killer, I'll say, and if people out there feel lonely in the community that haven't got a community of people around them, so just hit me up. So I'm sure Ben put a Discord to find like-minded people like me, Ben, and Pete, and stuff like that post in there and stuff, and just have a chat and just chat and waffle. Yeah. That's all we do, you know. But at the end of the day, it's like you're not alone. At the end of the day,
yeah.
It's like, as you see, 3 guys here that have spoke personal experience, all from different avenues, you know.
Yeah.
You know, from pregnancy to loneliness on the island, and yours, Pete, as well, with work, what happened there, and yeah, so it's trying to get that stigma out that you can talk to people that are not going to judge you in this community, and I feel like that should be the pinnacle point at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I think I echo what both of you have said there. That, you know, if people want to reach out and get in contact with me, feel free. You know, just drop me a message on Instagram. If you want to just set up your own mental health hobby nights where you live, hit me up. You know, if you need any tips or if you need to kind of work out how you do it or what you're doing, just send me a message, and, you know, I'm more than happy to part my wisdom, and not that I've got much of it, but more than happy to have a chat about it. And you never know, maybe one day the mental health hobby night will go on tour, and I'll visit different places in the UK and actually meet some people in real life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So where can people find you, Pete, on Instagram? What's your socials?
At Pete_builds_stuff. I am on Discord, but I can't remember it's probably the same username. If people want to get me there, but yeah, Instagram is probably the main one that that you can get in contact with me through.
Yeah, nice. As always, I'll put the links down below and stuff like that, so if people want to go and find Pete or ourselves or anything like that, all the links will be down below. Yeah, obviously, thank you, Pete, for joining us. It was a real pleasure. It was obviously quite a serious topic on this one, but I think it's one that me and Dave have been talking about for a long time, so it felt like the perfect opportunity. So yeah, I really appreciate you sort of coming on and chatting, being quite open and honest about stuff as well. It's obviously quite an important thing.
Well, thank you so much for having me on and kind of being able to share my story.
Yeah, of course. Not a problem. Yeah, and obviously hope everybody else sort of enjoyed the episode, and you sort of got a lot from it. I certainly did. It was nice to sort of sit and talk through it. Obviously, the typical thing I'll do the sell now. If you did enjoy it, please obviously just put a like, talk about comments and things like that, review it and things like that. It's really helpful from a feedback point of view in terms of are we doing the right thing, and how me and Dave can sort of adapt the podcast in the future. It's really useful. Obviously come on the Discord as well. We've sort of got areas where we talk about the podcast and stuff like that, but then like Dave says, there's plenty of places to just go and waffle on the Discord and chat about models and sort of show and get tips on painting and stuff like that. There's some incredible painters in that Discord, so some really good feedback in there as well. Obviously, you can find me First Round Fire, and Dave is, as always, is sort of Dave Hobby Corner, Dave_Hobby_Corner. And yeah, hopefully you'll join us in the next one. And it's been a real pleasure as always. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you later. Bye.